accumulated past grievances, or feared future consequences. When you learn to meet each interaction as its own unique event, what Buddhist psychology calls beginner's mind, you free yourself from the weight of history and expectation. This doesn't mean ignoring legitimate patterns or red flags, but rather approaching each moment with fresh eyes rather than through the distorted lens of past pain. A colleague's curt email might simply mean they're rushed today, not that they dislike you. A friend's cancellation could reflect their current overwhelm, not rejection of your friendship. Present moment awareness creates space for multiple interpretations rather than defaulting to emotionally charged assumptions. Daily life offers countless opportunities to practice present moment anchoring, many of which we typically perform on autopilot. Mindful eating, noticing colors, textures, and flavors, transforms a routine activity into a meditation. Walking with awareness of each footfall and the surrounding sights and sounds becomes a moving mindfulness practice. Even mundane tasks like washing dishes or folding laundry can become exercises in presence when done with full attention. These practices aren't about adding more to your to-do list, but about infusing existing activities with greater awareness. Over time, this cultivates what psychologists call trait mindfulness, a sustained ability to remain present that persists beyond formal practice moments. Research from the University of Massachusetts Medical School shows that regular mindfulness practice can physically change brain structure, thickening areas associated with attention and emotional regulation, while shrinking the amygdala, the brain's fear center. Present moment focus also changes your relationship with pleasure and joy. Much of life's beauty is missed because we're mentally elsewhere, scanning our phones while spending time with loved ones, worrying about tomorrow while watching a sunset, or planning our response instead of truly listening. The ability to fully inhabit pleasant moments, what positive psychologists call savoring, amplifies their emotional impact and creates lasting neural traces of well-being. Just as importantly, being present with difficult emotions allows them to move through you rather than getting stuck. Grief fully felt eventually softens. Anger expressed constructively dissipates. Fear faced loses some of its power. It's resistance to emotions, not the emotions themselves, that often causes prolonged suffering. Technology and modern culture present particular challenges to present moment living. Smartphones constantly pull our attention away from our immediate surroundings and into digital spaces. Multitasking, which research confirms is largely a myth, fragments our attention. The cult of busyness glorifies constant mental time travel into future plans and obligations. In this context, choosing presence becomes a radical act of self-care. Practical steps might include designating tech-free times or spaces, single-tasking important activities, or setting reminders to pause and check in with your senses periodically. The goal isn't to reject technology or productivity, but to reclaim agency over where you place your attention, your most precious resource. The paradox of present moment living is that by fully inhabiting the now, you actually prepare yourself to meet the future with greater wisdom and resilience. Soldiers, surgeons, and first responders train extensively so that in critical moments they can respond from muscle memory and presence rather than panic. Similarly, by practicing present moment awareness in daily life, you build the capacity to remain centered during genuine crisis. The calmest people in emergencies aren't those who never feel fear, but those who've learned to stay present with their fear without being paralyzed by it. It's about recognizing that even in difficult times, this breath, this step, this small action is where your power resides. The future is imagined, the past is remembered, but the present is where life actually happens. Emotional detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means caring deeply from a place of centered awareness rather than frantic reactivity. When you stop trying to control what hasn't happened yet or change what's already occurred, you discover an unexpected truth. Most of what we fear never comes to pass, and what does come is more manageable when met with full presence rather than divided attention. The present moment might seem small when compared to the vast expanse of time, but it's the only point where you can truly live, love, and make a difference. In the words of mindfulness teacher John Kabat-Zinn, wherever you go, there you are. Learning to be fully where you are, not lost in thought, not trapped in emotion, but present and awake, is perhaps the greatest gift you can give yourself and those around you. Clarity emerges when we stop confusing our emotions with reality, when we create enough space between our immediate reactions and our deeper wisdom to see situations as they truly are, rather than through the distorting lens of temporary feeling. This fundamental insight forms the heart of Keynote 6, that emotional detachment isn't about feeling less, but about seeing more clearly. When we're drowning in strong emotions, whether anger, fear, or overwhelming desire, our perception narrows to tunnel vision, focusing only on what confirms the emotion while ignoring contradictory evidence. Like a snow globe shaken violently, our mental landscape becomes clouded with swirling particles that obscure the stable foundations beneath. But as we learn to let these emotional storms settle through detachment, the sediment sinks, the water clears, and we gain the visibility to navigate our lives with precision and purpose. This clarity isn't cold indifference, it's the warm light of awareness that allows us to respond to life from our highest self rather than our most reactive pattern. The psychological mechanism behind this phenomenon involves what researchers call affective realism, the tendency for our current emotions to shape what we believe to be objectively true about the world. When we're angry, the world appears full of injustice. When anxious, everything seems threatening. When infatuated, potential problems become invisible. Studies in affective neuroscience demonstrate that emotions don't just color our perceptions, they actively construct them, filtering sensory information through the lens of our current emotional state. This explains why the same neutral comment from a partner can feel like playful teasing when we're happy and feel like cruel criticism when we're stressed. Emotional detachment disrupts this automatic fusion of feeling and perception, creating space to ask, is this interpretation accurate, or is my current emotional state distorting reality? Developing this clarity requires recognizing that emotions, while valuable as signals, are terrible as bosses. Consider how different your life decisions would be if made from calm clarity versus emotional intensity. The career choice made from desperation rarely serves us as well as the one chosen from quiet confidence. The relationship commitment formed in the heat of infatuation often differs from the decision reached through calm discernment. This doesn't mean ignoring emotions, they provide crucial information, but rather holding them as data points rather than absolute truth. The emotionally detached person might say, I feel terrified about this job change, and I also recognize this fear stems from my childhood instability rather than the actual risk involved. This ability to simultaneously honor emotions while seeing beyond them is the hallmark of emotional maturity. The path to clarity involves several transformative practices. First is the cultivation of what psychologists call metacognition, the ability to think about your thinking. This meta-awareness creates a buffer between stimulus and response where choice becomes possible. For instance, when someone criticizes you, instead of immediately reacting defensively, you might observe, I notice I'm feeling attacked right now, and my impulse is to lash out. This simple act of self-observation engages the prefrontal cortex, allowing more thoughtful response. Research from Yale University shows that regular mindfulness practice, which strengthens metacognition, actually increases gray matter density in brain regions associated with self-regulation, while decreasing activity in the amygdala, our emotional alarm center. Another crucial aspect is learning to distinguish between primary and secondary emotions. Primary emotions are our immediate instinctive reactions to events, the hurt we feel when slighted, the joy at good news. Secondary emotions are reactions to our primary emotion, anger at feeling hurt, guilt about our joy. Much emotional confusion comes from reacting to secondary emotions without recognizing the primary feelings beneath them. The person who explodes in rage might initially have felt hurt or afraid. The emotionally detached individual learns to trace this emotional chain backward. I'm angry because I feel disrespected, and beneath that I feel insecure about my worth, addressing the root rather than the symptom. Cognitive diffusion. A technique from acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, offers powerful tools for gaining clarity. This approach teaches us to see thoughts and emotions as passing mental events rather than absolute truth. Instead of saying I'm a failure, we learn to say I'm having the thought that I'm a failure. This subtle linguistic shift creates psychological distance, allowing us to observe our inner experiences without being controlled by them. Imagine standing at a train station, watching trains. Thoughts and emotions come and go without feeling compelled to board any particular one. This metaphor captures the essence of cognitive diffusion, maintaining awareness that you are the observing space, not the passing content. The relationship between emotional detachment and clarity becomes particularly evident in decision making. Studies on affective forecasting, our ability to predict future emotional states, show that we're remarkably bad at anticipating what will truly make us happy or miserable. We overestimate how devastated we'll be after failures and how euphoric we'll feel after successes. Emotionally detached decision-making involves consulting both rational analysis and emotional wisdom while recognizing the limitations of each. It asks questions like, how would I advise a friend in this situation? Or how might I view this choice 6 months from now? These perspective-taking exercises counteract the myopia of intense emotions, leading to wiser long-term decisions. Clarity also flourishes when we establish regular practices that quiet mental chatter and create space for insight. Morning pages, stream of consciousness journaling, nature immersion, meditation, or simply sitting quietly with a cup of tea. These rituals provide the mental stillness where clarity can emerge. The busier and more stressed we become, the more essential these practices grow. Like letting muddy water settle, they allow the sediment of our thoughts and emotions to separate so we can see through to what matters most. Ultimately, the clarity born of emotional detachment isn't about achieving perfect objectivity, an impossible goal for subjective human beings, but about recognizing and compensating for our emotional bias. It's understanding that right now in this moment, your perception is inevitably colored by your current state, and that this coloring will change. The emotionally detached person doesn't eliminate emotions, but develops a more nuanced relationship with them, appreciating their guidance while recognizing their This balanced perspective leads to what psychologist Daniel Goleman calls emotional intelligence, the ability to make emotions work for you rather than against you. In a world that often rewards knee-jerk reactions and emotional sensationalism, cultivating clarity through detachment becomes revolutionary. It allows you to respond to provocation with thoughtfulness rather than react with impulsivity, to see others' behavior as information about them rather than just something being done to you, to recognize that between what happens and how you respond lies a space where your greatest power resides. This is the gift of clarity, not cold detachment from life, but clear-eyed engagement with it, where you become the author of your responses rather than the prisoner of your reactions. And in that authorship lies true emotional freedom.